Hey guys, Josh here. 2021 has been pretty amazing for farming games, and instead of doing a typical top 10 favorite games of the year or something like that, I would like to take a look back at every month of 2021 and pick the most memorable game for me for each month of the year, except for January because I couldn't find anything for that month. So I'm gonna break the rules a little bit, but don't worry, there's still gonna be 12 games in this list. But before we start, I just want to quickly address the fact that I barely uploaded videos in December, and I'm so sorry. I had so many ideas, collabs, and fun videos I was planning for this month. I was really excited for December, but it turned out that at the beginning of the month, I had to deal with a copyright strike and the whole Dreamland Village Life thing, which drained me quite a bit. And also for the last week, I've been dealing with COVID-19, which I got despite being vaccinated and careful. So please be extra careful, everyone. And even though I'm doing fine, I'm doing better now. I tried recording videos in the last few days, but I had no energy at all. And it was just really tough and it didn't work out. So yeah, I'm hoping to go back to more regular uploads after this video. I think I'm doing fine now, so yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a quick update to those who are wondering what was happening, but let's start. So I'll just talk about January very quickly, but as far as I know, there was no new release in terms of farming games for that month. It was pretty quiet, and for me, I was just playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, as I had been doing for most of 2020 as well. But that month of January was really just the calm before the storm, as you'll see very quickly. So let's jump to February. February is when 2021 really started for me. The Japanese version of Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town came out 1 month before the international release, and that's when I started to play and how a lot of you discovered my channel. Olive Town is definitely one of my favorite games to come out this year. I played it for maybe 300 hours. And while it's not a perfect game, it's been improved a lot since its release at the beginning of the year. They added a queue for the makers, new dialogues, a new endgame questline, and a few other quality of life features. If you have not played it yet, or you have not played it since the last few updates, I definitely recommend you give it a try or you give it a second chance. It's an incredibly addictive game, there's a lot to do, and I'm still hoping for an update allowing us to rotate furniture and put things on top of paths, but I still really enjoyed decorating my farm in this game. Also, my channel wouldn't be anywhere close to what it is today without this game, so it has a very special place in my heart, and yeah, I really like Olive Town a lot. So that was for February. And in March, of course, we got the international release of Olive Town. There was also the release of Harvest Moon One World, which I'm not gonna talk about too much in this video, but a game that I would like to talk about is Cozy Grove, which released during the same month. At a time where a lot of people were getting either bored or burned out of Animal Crossing, or maybe people who didn't have a Switch and they just had a PC or some other consoles, Cozy Grove offered a similar experience, but also different enough to make things feel fresh. A beautiful hand-drawn art style, a focus on quests and story, an overall very cozy and relaxing experience. If you haven't played Cozy Grove, it is in real time just like Animal Crossing, and you have to help these different spirits on your island by collecting items for them, and by doing so you will add color back to the island, and you're also gonna make it bigger, giving you access to new areas to explore and new spirits to help. I made a review of this game if you'd like to know more about it, and unfortunately I kind of stopped playing as I just have too many games to play, but they've been updating the game pretty regularly, adding seasonal events and things like that, so it is a delight to go back even just once in a while to see how the seasons change and just experience the new gameplay mechanics that they're adding. In April, the alpha started for Roots of Pacha, a prehistoric farming sim. It's currently limited to the alpha backers on Kickstarter, but this game is set for full release in April of 2022, so everyone will be able to enjoy it very soon. As for me, so I did start playing the game in April, and I enjoyed every minute of it. At its core, it's a pretty classic farming sim, and it includes everything you would expect. However, there's a little Stone Age twist to everything, which makes the game really stand out. For example, instead of using a fishing rod for fishing and just have the classic fishing minigame we see in most farming sims. You'll have just a stone and your bare hands, and you have to follow a fish very closely in this little minigame. You have to wait for the right moment and then try to catch the fish. It feels a lot more immersive than the fishing in most farming games. You'll also have to find seeds in the wild rather than buying them at a shop. Just like you'll have to tame wild animals by talking to them and playing flute for them every day until they trust you enough to come back with you to your village. You'll also have to discover how to create sheds for these animals and how to take care of them through the Ideas system. So basically, since this game is set in the Stone Age, at first you don't know how to do anything, but as you progress and interact with the different villagers, you'll help them make new discoveries that will make your life easier, like how to build a nursery to make your own seeds or how to make efficient tools. And I think this gives the game a really good progression system, and I can't wait for the whole experience next year. In May, we got the long-awaited new entry in the Rune Factory series, Rune Factory 5. Or at least, we got the Japanese version of Rune Factory 5. The international release is set for March 2022, but in the meantime, I've really been enjoying playing the Japanese version. Rune Factory 5 brings back most of the core elements from Rune Factory 4, so if you've played that, you'll be familiar with the farming, crafting, combat, and relationship systems. But it also adds a few things such as the Seed Circle, which allows you to capture monsters temporarily if you want them to help you for a few fights but don't want to commit to taking care of them long term and take space in your barns. And you also have these elemental crystals that you can get with the Seed Circle, and they can also be used to boost the stats of your different fields. So there are a few new things, but for the most part, it's the same that you would expect from a Rune Factory game. It's also very exciting to be playing in 3D, as the last 3D Rune Factory game we had was Rune Factory Tides of Destiny or Rune Factory Oceans, and this one goes back to 2011 and it was a bit different from the classic formula. So yeah, some areas do look a bit questionable, and I think it could have been better in terms of how the environments look. But overall, I'm really loving my time with this game. I still think it looks pretty good, and I'm gonna be continuing to play it in 2022 for hundreds of hours. Alright, so we're just halfway through the year, and we've already got so many great games, and this continues in June with the release of Sun Haven in early access. If you haven't played this yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Even though it's in early access, there is so much to do, there's a lot of content, and we get major updates every few months. And the full release is planned sometime next year for PC, Mac, and Nintendo Switch. In Sun Haven, there are 3 different cities you can live in, each with a different questline, different crops native to their climate, different characters to marry, and different surrounding areas to explore, all filled with monsters and resources to gather. Each city also has their own currency and shops in which you can buy cute pets and hundreds of furniture items to decorate your house and your farm. You really get a lot of freedom in Sun Haven, not only in terms of decorating your farm, but also in terms of customizing your character's appearance and skill. When you level up your farming, mining, combat, exploration, and fishing, you'll get to spend skill points in the skill trees that will give perks and abilities to your characters, which offers a really good progression system. And when you play with your friends, because yes, this game can accommodate up to 8 players together, it feels so satisfying to see how everyone built their character differently, and to use this to your advantage when you're exploring together. So I did play this game in co-op, and it is definitely a lot of fun. So if you have friends that are also into farming games, you definitely should invite them to play Sun Haven with you. In July, I feel like there wasn't much in terms of new farming games. However, that's the month when I played Swords and Magic and Stuff for the first time, as it released its Farm and Forge update, which introduced farming, crafting, cooking, and so much more to the game. I still haven't got to the farming part yet, as I was busy trying to juggle all of the other games that released so far with the limited amount of free time I had, and it seems like it takes some time before you can unlock the farming area and all the farming mechanics in this game. So I'm really hoping to play this game more in 2022, but I really do think it deserves some more recognition. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this game, but it's so much fun. It has so much potential. There's a lot to do and explore in this world. You can do pretty much anything you want, and I like to compare it to cute, colorful Skyrim. Plus, the game gets pretty big updates regularly, and the latest one is allowing you to purchase plots of land. You can then build your own house on these plots and decorate your house, and I'm so looking forward to doing that. So yeah, that's one of the games I really wish to play more next year, and there's also a multiplayer mode, so I'm gonna have to try that as well. In August was the full release of Serene Fate, which was previously available in early access, but I was not even aware of the existence of that game until the day of the full release. So Serene Fate is very difficult. I'm still trying to get through the first area, and even though there is farming, crafting and everything else, this game focuses a lot on the combat and building up your character. You'll have to grind a lot to raise your stats and learn new skills if you want to make a bit of progress in this game. There's not a lot of tutorials, it can be kind of complicated or confusing at times, but when you do get it, it feels so rewarding and it's a really fun game. One thing I love in Serene Fate is the spells system. For example, you can summon a magical axe or pickaxe to gather resources for you by selecting the appropriate elements in the correct order on your spells bar. There's also a spell to tame chimeras, which are some special creatures, kind of like Pokemon, each with different stats and traits, and there are 50 of them to collect. There's even a little retro video game you can play at your house. I'm not sure if you get any reward for doing a high score, but this game is filled with content and little secret things like these. And yeah, it's just so much fun. Once again, great farming games in 2021 were just piling up month after month. So this is also one I did not get to play as much as I wanted to, but I'm hoping to fix that next year. And also Serene Fate is planned to release for Nintendo Switch sometime pretty soon. At the beginning of September, we got Kitaria Fables, an action RPG with some farming elements, in which you play as a cute cat called Nyanza and his companion Macaron. This game offers a pretty simple but fun combat system, where you'll get to fight with either a sword or a bow along with some magic spells, and you'll have to dodge and time your attacks right in order to survive. This game is a bit grindy. You'll have to beat the same monsters over and over again in order to get better equipment, but it's quite addictive and I couldn't stop playing for days until the point where I got stuck with a certain boss. In your adventure, you'll get to explore a forest, a desert, a snowy area, and so many more. Kitaria Fables had some mixed reviews, and some people didn't like the grindy elements or the fact that the farming aspect is quite limited, so that's something to keep in mind. I don't necessarily think I'll be playing a ton more of this game, but I'll definitely go back to it at least to finish the main story, and overall I still really enjoyed my experience with Kitaria Fables. Then in October we got Moonglow Bay, which is more of a fishing than a farming game, but it's similar enough in style that I thought it would be a good inclusion to this list. At the start of this game, your partner disappears after some tragic fishing incident, and after taking a break from fishing for many years, you decide to go back to the sea and make your old dream of opening a restaurant come true. As you uncover the mysteries of the little coastal town you live in, and you try to find out what truly happened to your partner, you'll get to fish and cook, which are the two main components of this game. You'll get access to tons of different areas for fishing that you'll get to go to by using your boat, and the fishing itself is pretty straightforward. You have to reel in the direction opposite to where the fish is swimming, but you have to be careful not to reel too fast as your line can break. You can use different fishing rods, lures, and baits to make it easier to catch certain types of fish. There's also ice fishing, fishing with nets, cages, and possibly more. There are so many different types of fish, and villagers will sometimes give you clues as to how or where to find a certain fish, and you'll want to get out different fish to complete the aquarium, but also for cooking, of course. Cooking is also pretty simple but fun. It consists of little mini games where you need to press or hold the button at the right time, and it varies slightly depending on what you're doing, such as washing the fish, cutting it, boiling it, frying it, etc. Each task is slightly different, and while it's fun, my complaint with this is that, at least at the point where I got in the game, You'll have to go through these minigames every single time you want to cook something, and there's no way to skip them, so it can get pretty tedious if you have a lot of fish after a long fishing trip. You'll sometimes have to cook a specific dish for a quest or a villager, or you can also put them in a vending machine in front of your house, and it will sell them automatically throughout the day. I really enjoyed the story of Moonglow Bay. The different characters are all interesting, and it gets bonus points from me as it takes place in Canada. It's a very lovely game, and it is a bit different because there's no farming, as I said. But if you like these types of games, I'm sure you will enjoy Moonglow Bay. It's definitely worth it. And also, just one little thing, I think this game plays a lot better with a controller than with a mouse and keyboard. Because if you play with a mouse and keyboard, it is kind of tough to navigate in the menus because you have to use everything on the keyboard. You can't just navigate the menus with your mouse. And I know they released an update very recently making this a little bit better, but I feel like it's still very clunky navigating the menus with the mouse. So if you want to play this on PC, make sure you play with a controller. It's gonna make things a lot easier for you. In November, I got to play the Influencer Alpha for Sunnyside, an upcoming farming game with a lot of promises. I have to say, as much as I'm excited for this game, I could not enjoy the alpha as much as I hoped for, just because there were too many bugs and issues that prevented me to really get into the game, but I'm glad I got to see glimpses of what's to come. I think the developers are really thinking outside the box with Sunnyside and offering us what we haven't seen in farming games before, such as watering crops with a hose, doing everything through your cell phone, such as buying seeds online and taking pictures, also using a drone to get a full view of your farm and customizing it. All those things make Sunnyside feel like a modern farming sim. This game is filled with amazing ideas, and I'll definitely keep an eye on it in 2022. I just feel like the early version I got was not very enjoyable for me, but I'm sure it's gonna be a great game when it's fully out. Also, since I didn't have any game for January, I'll talk about another game that released in November, and that's Epic Chef. That game really took me by surprise. This game is mostly about cooking, but you also have a farm as you'll need to gather different ingredients to cook, and it is so much fun. You'll get to do these cooking duels against other chefs, and the cooking mechanics require some strategy. Each ingredient will give you different types of points, and you can also get bonuses by combining ingredients with the correct properties or by putting them in your pan in a certain order. You also have different sauces you can add to your dish that will give you certain effects. And it's pretty simple on the surface at first, but the more you play, the more things get interesting. Another thing that's interesting in Epic Chef is the dialogues. This game is filled with ridiculous characters, puns, and unexpected plot twists. It's really over the top and doesn't take itself seriously. And I streamed it one time and everyone had so much fun with the story and overall quirkiness of this game. So if you're looking for something really funny, then I suggest you go and check out Epic Chef. And for December, I feel like this game came a bit out of nowhere as I had not heard of it previously, but I got to play the alpha version of Core Keeper. I even played it with some of you on Discord. This game can play up to 8 players in co-op, and it was so much fun. This game reminds me of a combination of maybe Terraria, Minecraft, and Stardew Valley, kind of. It's all underground, so you'll be doing a lot of mining, and everything is quite dark, but little by little, you'll get some ore to make better tools and armor, as well as you'll find some seeds, so you can start farming and cooking. And then the food you cook will give you some buffs, such as increased movement speed or increased defense and things like that. So that's gonna help you. That's gonna be essential if you want to beat one of the different bosses. So in this game, there are huge bosses, and I definitely recommend playing with friends if you want to make this easier because they can be really tough. But once you beat a boss, you'll get some valuable items and unlock new things to make the rest of your journey a bit easier. Also, a big part of this game is about decorating your base and also making sure it's well protected, as some enemies are able to dig through the walls and will come and destroy your stuff if you're not prepared correctly. So I've had a lot of fun with Core Keeper so far, and currently the alpha is over, so I can't play anymore. But I think there might be another alpha or something coming early next year, and I'm gonna make sure to keep you guys updated on what's happening with Core Keeper. Alright guys, so these were the most memorable farming games for me in 2021. What do you think? Did I miss your favorite game? The year was definitely filled with amazing games, so I wouldn't be surprised if I did. It's crazy when we think about the fact that a few years ago, we were lucky to have just one new farming game in a year, but now they are everywhere and it's a bit overwhelming if you try to play them all and stay on top of everything. And I know things are not going to slow down in 2022. I'm looking forward to all the new games we'll get throughout the year, and I'll do my best as usual to keep you up to date with the new releases. And before I wrap up, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched one of my videos this year or left some comments on my videos this year. It's been a really amazing year for me. I hope it's been a good one for you as well. I'm so excited for 2022. We're gonna try to make that year even better than 2021. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on more content like this. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.